Hi everyone. So in this video, I'm going to talk about one of your most important or significant decisions in life. That is how to choose a research supervisor. So let's get started. I have made several related videos on this topic, but this one is very extensive. For example, in a lot of those videos, I used to see at the comment section, and many of you used to ask that how do we consider a reputed journal, or what do we consider as a reputed journal? You do not have any experience with that. So in this particular video, I've talked about how you can consider a particular journal as reputed or not. The second thing is I have done a comparison or a case study. I've chosen profiles of two different professors from two different universities and sort of helped you understand on how you can gauge their profile. That is another added you can say benefit that you're going to get out of this video. And I have talked about several things, a lot of metrics also, but one thing that I want to be very upfront about is that you can't consider as many metrics and you can do as much research as you want, but ultimately there is some faith involved. You have to take a leap of faith when you're deciding your advisor or your guide. Okay, that is very important. You have to consider, I mean, you can do all the research like I said, but there might be some things that you have to leave on destiny and just be optimistic that whatever decision you have taken is in your best interest. Apart from that, even though there are so many metrics, but all of them have their own drawbacks. Okay, so we can have a philosophical discussion on why these metrics are not great and what alternatives we could have. But in the end, we have to rely on certain metrics. I will give you a couple of examples on where these metrics fail. Like, there are many examples, but if you look at the 2010 Nobel Prize that was given to Professor Suzuki, he published that breakthrough article on paradigm catalyzed reactions in 1979 in Tetrahedron Letters. So Tetrahedron Letters is a good journal, but it is not one of the most reputed journals. Okay, so in case you are looking at the profile of a professor and just looking at the reputed journals, that is not a sole way to gauge a profile. I mean, there, like I said, you have to gauge on certain metrics. Sometimes some great breakthroughs happen and they're not published in great reputable journal, very well reputed journals. That is one thing that you need to consider. The second is, even though in the video I will tell you to look at the publication frequency, okay, but that is not always the case. One of the greatest chemists, Professor Frederick Sanger, who, by the way, those of you do not know, got 2 Nobel Prizes in chemistry. In fact, he's the only person to get 2 Nobel Prizes in chemistry. He did not publish very frequently. Okay, so that is also something that you need to consider. Even though we are going to look at the publication frequency and the quality of publications, but like I said, these are certain metrics, and there are always exceptions to all these metrics. Okay, and at the last, even though I've talked about this in detail as well, but please be very please be very careful about sexual predators that are out there. They could be professors, unfortunately, and there have been a lot of instances, and the universities are very slow to take action, or sometimes they do not take action at all. So be very careful about these things before choosing your potential supervisor. So addressing how to find reputable journals or how to find authentic journals, that is a very common problem. Now I can understand that, because as a researcher who has been doing research for the past 6 or 7 years, I know in my particular domain what are some reputed journals. But as someone who's new to research, or someone who does not have research exposure, there might be some issues that you might be facing in deciding whether to consider a journal reputable or not, right? So the first thing that you can do is look out if those journals are available in the Nature Index. Okay, now what exactly is Nature Index? It's a list of journals which are considered to be highly reputable by other scientists in that particular field. So it contains journals from different domains, be it physics, chemistry, biology, like that. So if I particularly focus on some of the chemical journals, so we have Chemical Communications. This is published by the Royal Society of Chemistry. Then we have Chemical Science over here. Okay, then we have Analytical Chemistry, Advanced Materials, ACS Nano. Okay, so you can see there are a list of very different journals from different domains. There are a lot of nature journals also, and then you will have like very specific journals also. For example, Inorganic Chemistry should be here somewhere. inorganic, yeah, this you can see inorganic chemistry is there, so it's very specific to inorganic chemistry, like articles from inorganic chemistry. And then over here we should have organic letters. This journal specifically publishes articles related to organic chemistry, so these are highly specialized journals. So you can see that there are many specialized journals also, and then there are many journals which cover articles from all different fields. Like for example, if you see over here, there is a journal called Science Advances, so it will publish articles from different fields. Okay, it is not necessarily that the article should be from organic, inorganic, or analytical chemistry. Any article which could be of general interest to the scientist, it will publish that. Okay, so there are many journals over here, many chemistry specific journals also. But the thing is that this is not an exhaustive list, in the sense that there are many good journals which are not in this list also. For example, I am basically a medicinal chemist by profession, right? So the most I can say most reputed journal in our field is Journal of Medicinal Chemistry, and as I can see over here, Journal of Medicinal Chemistry has not been listed over here, right? So it does not make Journal of Medicinal Chemistry any less. Okay, this is just for a general overview. So that is one thing that you can consider the Nature Index. So the question is, if the journal is not indexed in Nature Index, then how do I decide that particular journal is reputable, good or not? The next thing that you can look at is the publishers. So I can recall as of now 5 publishers that are that have very high reputation in the field of chemical sciences, and they are Nature, Science, then we have Royal Society of Chemistry, American Chemical Society, and Cell. Okay, there might be many other publishers, but these are the 5 that I can recall right now that have very high reputation. So if the journal is published by any of these publishers, for example, American Chemical Society, Royal Society of Chemistry, then we have Nature, Science, Cell, then you can consider them, or you can be, rest assured that these are going to be good journals. Then there are some other publishers also. Some of their journals are very highly reputed, and you will find them in Nature Index also. For example, I think this Advanced Functional Materials and Advanced Materials, this is published by the Wiley. Okay, there's a publisher called Wiley. Okay, so there are other publishers, like I said, Wiley is there, Taylor and Francis is there, Elsevier is there, Springer is there. Like that, there are other publishers also. Now the question is, apart from these 5 publications that I just told you, if it is going to be published by any other publisher, then if that journal is good or not, how do we decide? Then you can look at its impact factor. Okay, for those of you who are not aware of what exactly is impact factor, you can just Google it. It's a simple metric. Generally, it's a very generic thing. Again, impact factor has its own drawbacks. Okay, I'll tell you about those drawbacks further in the video. But if generally the impact factor is greater than 5, then you can consider it to be a very reputed journal. Like I said, there are certain drawbacks with the metric impact factor also, about which I'll tell you in just a bit. But if you want to just search the impact factor, you can just go to Google and just type the name of the journal and just write impact factor, and Google will give you the impact factor. Okay, otherwise impact factors are generally given by an organization called Clarivate, and impact factor is generally considered to be a valuable metric to understand whether a journal could be reputable or not. It's not the only metric that decides, but it is a significant metric. Okay, see why I was saying metrics are good, but you should not solely rely on the metrics, because first of all, if I talk about impact factor, it varies from journal to journal, or from domain to domain, or from topic to topic. What I mean by that is, see, material chemistry as of now is being pursued by a lot of researchers. It is also being pursued by physicists, it is pursued by chemists, and a lot of other scientists. So a normal impact factor or an average impact factor, let's say in the field of material chemistry, might be 7 or 8. So any journal which has impact factor of 10 might be considered to be a good journal. Okay, just as an example I'm telling you. But if you talk about the field of computational chemistry, the number of researchers working in the field of computational chemistry is comparatively less, or it is not as active as an area of research as, let's say, material chemistry. So if you talk about journals which are very well reputed in the field of in the field of computational chemistry, they might just have an impact factor of 3 or 4. As an example, I think Journal of Chemical Information and Modeling, that is published by American Chemical Society, has a impact factor of around 4.9, whereas journals of equal reputation in the field of material chemistry might have an impact factor of 13 or 14. Okay, so it depends upon how many scientists are working in a particular field, which might also lead to a skewed impact factor. So one might think that, okay, this particular journal, the Journal of Chemical Information and Modeling, has an impact factor of only 4.7 or 4.9, whereas another researcher has published in a journal which has an impact factor of 14. So you cannot compare it because these are different fields. So please do not try to compare the impact factors of different fields of journals which are publishing in different fields, because that is not a very appropriate or a fair comparison of the journals. Now let's say you have already decided which area you want to work in. Okay, it could be a broad area also, it does not have to be very specific. Let's say it could be organic chemistry, inorganic chemistry, physical chemistry. You have not really decided in inorganic chemistry or in organic chemistry which field you want to pursue research in. For that, I will give you a link to one of my videos where I talk about 5 science websites through which you can get an idea of latest research that is going on in that particular field, and from there you can maybe try and see where your interest lies. Or apart from that, I also make videos called Science Sizzler. It's a series called Science Sizzler where I talk about latest research in different fields in chemistry. So maybe you can check out the different sort of specializations or area where active research is going on. So let's say once you have decided a broad area of your research interest also, or you do not have any project experience or internship, but you just know that you want to work in, let's say, organic chemistry, then first of all try and understand which institutes you want to work in. Okay, just get a list of 15-20 institutes. Now depending on your personal constraints, those institutes can be near your home also. Okay, for example, let's say if you're staying in West Bengal, you can look for institutes in West Bengal. So for example, the institutes that immediately come to my mind is IISER Kolkata or IIT Kharagpur. There are a couple of good CSIR institutes also. I think Institute of Chemical Biology is there in Kolkata, if I'm not wrong. So so you can also narrow down your search based on the locality. If not, then you can look at all different institutes. Like for example, let's say you are sure that you want to work in one of these institutes, like it should be either a IIT or a IISER or JNCSR or ISC Bangalore. So you can shortlist like 15 to 20 institutes. Like I said, it could be based on locality also. If not on locality, then throughout India, you can just consider a list of 15 to 20 institutes that you would want to work in. Okay, initially first, right? And then let's say you go to each and every department's chemistry, like each and every institute's department. So for example, let's say I'm interested in IISER Bhopal, so I'll just go IISER Bhopal Department of Chemistry, and then I look at the faculty members. So I can just go to your people over here and go to faculty. Okay, and now these are the various faculty members, and I can just click and read about the research area. Okay, or maybe I can just Google their name and look at their Google Scholar profiles. I will show you a case study very, very soon. Okay, so that is one way that you can look at faculty members or professors who are working in your area of interest. So like that, they will mention the area also, like for example, magnetism, main group chemistry, bioinorganic chemistry, chemical crystallography. Okay, then organic chemistry, chemical biology. So whatever your broad area of interest is, you can then shortlist profiles of professors you might potentially want to work under, like that. Okay. So let's say many of you ask me, and I have made many videos on this particular topic, that how do we basically what to choose, whether an institute should be chosen or whether a particular professor has to be chosen. And I have given a lot of suggestions. I will give you the link to those videos somewhere over here. Okay, but before we go ahead with that, one more thing I want to talk about is some of you might be interested in interdisciplinary sciences. Okay, for example, it should be something which, like for example, chemical biology. It comprises of chemistry and biology. Okay, so then it can be considered as an interdisciplinary science. So like that, some of the institutes also have interdisciplinary departments. Okay, so for example, right now a very hot topic of research is data science and chemistry. Okay, or machine learning and chemistry. So just as an example, there's a department. Now this is not chemistry department of ISC Bangalore. This is Department of Computational and Data Sciences. It is again an interdisciplinary department. And over here, what you will see that there are certain professors who are working on the interface of computational sciences and chemistry. So I'll just show you one of the profiles, for example. Yeah, so if you look at Professor Devnath Pal, he's working on protein-protein interaction drug discovery. So even though you will not find his name in the chemistry department, it is in the interdisciplinary department of computational and data sciences. So sometimes you also have to look at the interdisciplinary departments in a particular institute also, so that you do not miss them out. Okay. Now, so like I was saying that many of you ask me whether we have to choose an institute or a professor. So like I said, I have made a lot of videos, but I'll just like to give you a very simple example to help you understand. So let's say I'm interested in organic chemistry, and I will compare the two profiles over here. So one is of Professor I would say Biju Akatu. Okay, I'm not sure how we would pronounce his name. And if you look at his profile, so these are a lot of metrics that you can see. But anyhow, let's look at the journals that these articles have been published in. So you can see Journal of Organic Chemistry. It's, by the way, published by American Chemical Society, so it's a reputed journal. Organic Letters, like I told you, it is there in the Nature Index also. It's again a very reputed journal. Organic Letters again. Then this is published by Wiley. Then we have Organic Letters. Tetrahedron, okay, that is published by Elsevier. So I can see, like, in the last 1 or 2 years, Anju Want to Chemistry, again a Nature Index journal. Organic Letters, Chemical Communications, all of them are Nature Index journals. So these are very highly reputed journals, and you might expect that from a professor who is working in ISC Bangalore, right? But at the same time, just as in comparison, I show you a profile of Professor Alagnanda Hazra, right? So I think he's the assistant or associate professor in Vishwa Bharati University. So Vishwa Bharati University does not come in the, I think, even in the top 10 of universities by the NIRF rankings. Okay. Apart from that, if you look at his profile, it is comparable to Professor Biju. Okay, so if you look at his profile, green chemistry, again, like I said, there are some journals which are very, very specific to a field. And this, by the way, green chemistry is a very highly reputed journal published by Royal Society of Chemistry. Its impact factor, by the way, is also 10. So that tells you that if you are not sure about a journal, you can also look at its impact factor if it is not there in the Nature Index. Then you see Journal of Organic Chemistry, again, ACS publisher. Then again, JOC, Journal of Organic Chemistry. Chemical Communications, there in the Nature Index. Then we have Chemical Record. Chemical Record is actually published by Wiley. Okay, the publisher is Wiley, but this is very, very reputable journal because this is a purely invited journal. That means some professors will be invited to write an article, and this Chemical Record is basically like the invitation to basically publish in Chemical Record is given to those professors who are highly accomplished in a particular field. Okay, so if he is getting an invitation by Chemical Record, that means he's a very well established researcher in that particular field. Okay, anyway, so again, you can see Organic Letters in the year 2021. Then again, you have to see the latest papers. By the way, I just forgot to mention, you have to look at the latest articles. Okay, not look at articles 10 or 20 years back. It doesn't make sense because you're going to join the lab right now. See, why looking at recent publications of professors is important is that it tells you two things. First, they are fairly frequent or active in the area of research. And the second thing is that there's no problem with the equipment and the funding. So for example, let's say if a particular professor for his own personal reasons might have chosen an institute which is, let's say, near to their home, they might have some personal issues. Okay, so they might have a profile, or they might have the, the intellect to be a professor at one of the top research institutes, but for some personal reason, let's say they chose a university which was closer to their home. Now, if they are publishing very, very frequently, and that too, like I said, in very reputed journals, that means that their funding is good in the lab. And the second thing is that they have access to all the relevant characterization techniques or all the relevant equipment that would be required to publish in reputed journals. So that is why it is very, very important to look at the latest publications and not at the previous publications, because old publications might be a reflection of how they were as a student. So they might have got these publications through their postdoctoral work. Okay. But you would not come to know about their recent profile. So that is why looking at the recent publications is very, very important. So I would say that even though you can see their institutes are somewhat different, okay, not somewhat, a lot different, ISC and Vishwa Bharati University, okay, in terms of reputation, if you might consider, but you can see the profile is, in my opinion, somewhat very, very similar. Both of them have a very similar profile. So that's why I was saying that the institute does not really matter a lot. Okay, your immediate guide or advisor or supervisor, their profile and how their conduct is matters a lot. Another way to gauge your potential supervisor or advisor is to go to the group web page. Now, unfortunately, in India, not a lot of professors have their group web page, but thankfully, like Professor Biju has his own group web page. So when I click over here, so this is the group web page. What I can do is I'll just show you. Okay, so I click over here and I should go to the group web page. And okay, I think my network is not working. So basically, when the group web page opens up, there on the top side there's a link to the alumni. Okay, yeah. So this is the link to the alumni. So if I click over here to the alumni link, you can see in this case that what the potential PhD students or those who were PhD students in his group, what are they doing right now. So for example, let's say you are interested to work in the industry, or let's say you're interested in doing a postdoc after PhD, and you just want to see that how students from his lab have done, or what they are doing right now. So you can see the PhD student over here, Dr. Tamal Kantidas. He worked from 2015 to 20. Right now he's working as a postdoctoral fellow at Rice University. Then we have a PhD student from 2014 to 19, Dr. Mukherjee. He's working where? He's working as a postdoctoral fellow at Japan. Then you can see another PhD student 2015 to 19, Dr. Roy. He's working as a postdoctoral fellow in Germany. So we have three different continents. One, we have North America, then we have Europe, and then we have Asia, that is Japan. Then you can see he is working as a scientist, Dr. Mondal, at Shenzhen. Then we can see another student, he's working as a postdoc fellow at Germany. So you can see all of the former PhD students, they are either doing postdoc or they are working as a scientist. So that is also one thing that you can always consider. Go to the group webpage and see how their alumni is doing, right? So that also instills some confidence that yes, your future is bright, or at least is secured. If they can do it, surely you can do it as well. And last but not the least, do not forget to activate your network. You should know in and out about the potential lab that you are going to choose. What I mean by that is the lab environment, the working hours, whether it is something that suits you or not, the reputation of the professor. Has he been previously accused of any misconduct or any kind of sexual harassment case? Okay, try to get as much information as possible. I refuse to believe, say, chemistry or sciences in general, in India particularly, is a small community. Okay, we have 40 to 50 batchmates in our bachelors, and I would say 40 to 50 batchmates in our masters. So I refuse to accept that in a particular institute you do not have anyone associated with you. Like let's say if my batchmate has some of his senior or her senior working in a particular institute, you have to engage that contact and you have to get as much information as possible about a particular lab. That is very, very, very important. Okay, so make sure you do your due diligence of researching about the potential supervisor. That is very important, and you have to see whether there's a resonance. Like if you are a hard worker, then whether your professor is also a hard worker, or whether if you are someone who likes to have a work-life balance and would not want to work for extended hours in the lab, then you have to also see whether your professor is somewhat who aligns with your goals. Okay, so let's say if he or she is someone who also likes to have a good work-life balance, then you guys will get along. But let's say if you are someone who likes to have a good work-life balance, but they are very, very aggressive and they have these very strong goals, and they like their students to work, let's say 13-14 hours or extended periods of time in the lab, then you would not be happy in the lab. And vice versa, if you are someone who is very, very driven and does not mind working extended hours, but let's say your professor is a little laid back, okay, then again things will not go hand in hand. So you have to make sure that whichever lab you're entering, the lab environment resonates with your ideology or with your sort of pace. That is also something that you need to consider, because otherwise you'll have a very, very hard time in the lab. Okay, so yeah. Hey guys, so I'm a verified educator on Unacademy, and along with that, I'm also available on the Unacademy Plus platform, where I'm taking live classes along with other educators. So, in case you're interested in attending the live classes, you can subscribe to the Unacademy Plus platform using my referral code, that is SETHI, and that will give you 10% discount. Alright, and in case you're not interested in attending the live classes, you can watch the free courses that are available on the Unacademy. For that, all you need to do is go to the Unacademy website or download the Unacademy Learning app and search my name over there, that is ACT. Once you do that, you will get the access to all the free courses that are available on the Unacademy platform. Alright.